What a weekend of sport. Absolutely incredible. Congratulations to Leicester winning the FA Cup. And they did get very emotional. There's lots of players and clubs have got emotional winning the FA Cup in the past. Martinez last season was very emotional, but it's a fantastic thing winning the FA Cup. So and for the first time as well, you can't knock it, can you?
Yeah, I enjoyed this weekend actually watching so much football. I mean, how you keep up with it all, it's ridiculous. But yeah, cup final, really enjoyed it. And then the Champions League, the Women's Champions League final, I watched that. I mean, there was such a big gap there. I mean, I know we've bigged up Chelsea this season, the women's team, and rightly so for what they've done domestically. But playing in that Champions League final, it was just a different gravy, mate. It really, really was. You got one team, Barcelona, playing football, passing the ball around, being comfortable in tight situations, and the other one who were just running a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I saw in the Champions League final.
Yeah, I make you right. And there will be people there'll be guys who still don't think the women's football is particularly good. Well, if they'd watched Barcelona last night, they would have been seriously impressed. I mean, they were taking on the champions of England and they completely outplayed them. And I was listening to H&J earlier, and Andy Jacobs made a great point about Roman Abramovich, who was in the dressing room in Gothenburg. He applauded the Chelsea players after that Champions League final. And I was wondering, would he be doing this if this was the men's team? Is it like he's ruffling the hair of the women's team, saying basically, isn't it great that I've funded the women's team? I don't really care what goes on. They can get humiliated in a Champions League final for all I care. I'm still going to go and applaud them because I'm going to get the credit for funding a women's team. Is then he doesn't run the men's team like he runs the women's team, and I wonder if that's a problem for anybody. I mean, would a manager of Chelsea's men's team, who are that humiliated in the first half hour of a Champions League final, would he keep his job under Abramovich?
I think but it's different now because you've got to think how far they've got to come, Chelsea women, to catch up some of the big dogs. You know what I mean? You're looking at Barcelona, how they've been going. They lost a final, didn't they, 4-1 a few years ago to Lyon.
2 years ago, yeah.
How good are Lyon, Wolfsburg? You've got PSG coming to the party. You've got these teams, Manchester City. You've got Arsenal, who used to be the dominant side. So Chelsea have had to pass Arsenal and keep Man City at bay to be the best team in England. And they've also playing catch-up to the rest of Europe. So it's a slightly different situation with Chelsea. I think they've got themselves into a position now where they're expected every year to be competing on all fronts. Don't you think?
Okay.
Slightly different. It might change next year. Now, for Chelsea, the expectancy, if they get to the final again and lose 4-0, it might be a different ball game.
Abramovich came in and there was no catching up time for Ranieri. 3 years in and Jose Mourinho went without a Champions League.
Yeah, but you didn't think Ranieri was the right man for the job, did he?
Well,
obviously.
10 years in. And I know it's probably illegal in this country to criticise Emma Hayes. And I agree with that to a large extent because she's so brilliant to listen to. She's so engaging. You feel like you can play when you listen to her. But they weren't properly prepared for that game. The fullbacks didn't have a clue that Barcelona had decent wingers, and they had no adapting skills mid-game either. So all I'm saying is, I'm not saying Emma Hayes should lose her job, but on Roman Abramovich's watch, a lot of male managers have lost their job in charge of the men's team, and they've been more successful. So it's a strange one.
Yeah, or was it, but the players the occasion got to them. Because it was the second half, I actually thought they were all right. Yeah, Barcelona was still the better team, still the football
and
playing
they'd won it
team.
by then.
Still, yes, I know, but still the footballing playing team. But Chelsea did come more into it in the second half. Perhaps in the first half, the occasion did get to them, and it does happen.
Yep.
It does happen.
It does, but again, I'd look at man management with that. And I'm just asking the question. I think there's a stark contrast between how the women's team is run by Roman Abramovich and how the men's team is run. And I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or is the inconsistency fair for whatever reason? Let us know. And in terms of the FA Cup final itself, we're going to talk more about Leicester after 5 o'clock. From a Chelsea point of view, wow. I mean, the weird thing about it was, because he played Johnny Evans, Brendan Rodgers, he actually played a weakened side, and Chelsea they tried to take full advantage, but they just couldn't use the ball. Timo Werner was his useless self. I didn't understand the team selection. Alonso, what's he doing on the pitch? Kepa, what's he doing in goal? Mendy saves that shot, by the way. And what he was doing with Reece James and Azpilicueta, I don't know. Ziyech, yeah, he's the semi-final hero. Doesn't mean he has to play in the final. Very, very strange. Did he even watch last year's final when Pulisic was winning it for Chelsea before he got injured? I mean, it's very strange from Thomas Tuchel. He's getting a lot of praise. I saw an article today which basically opened with the sentence, Thomas Tuchel has been brilliant since he's been at Chelsea. Well, has he? I mean, really, when it comes to the crunch, he might have made them better. Has he been brilliant, really? I don't think so.
Well, I still think it comes down to it. We said this at the end of the year. If they miss out on top four and lose both finals, has it been a good year?
Terrible.
Don't know. How would the fans look on it? And I'm not saying they're going to lose against Manchester City, by the way. But I'm just saying it looks different now. Liverpool getting that late winner through Alisson, which we're going to talk about later as well. But it puts the pressure back on Chelsea. It's a huge game for them tomorrow. But I thought it was a terrific cup final. There were moments in it which are what you remember. There's certain things in cup finals that happen, and some things did. I mean, the saves from Schmeichel, you've talked about it. You look at that, the team selection, which I'm sure will be one thing you talk about. You get to a final, do you play your best side? The atmosphere was absolutely electric. I thought the noise was fantastic for a cup final.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
And by the way, VAR got it right. So our Leicester fans going to feel about VAR moving forward, because that helped them win the FA Cup final.
It did, and the frustrating thing is there'll be a tweak to the rules this summer, and a goal like that will stand next season. But I found that whole incident very frustrating. But I thought it was feet, not head. Well, there you go. The laws seem to have changed without us even knowing. He's picked the wrong team. I think he's proved nothing so far, Thomas Tuchel. He's got it. For me, it's all on the Champions League. If he does finish top four, that's what Lampard did last season, so that's nothing special. But if they go and win the Champions League, then all of a sudden, on one game, it makes it a special season for Chelsea.
It's a fine line, though, especially if you're boss of Chelsea. Because what you talked about there, Abramovich, he's an hard taskmaster. If they don't achieve and they don't win and they slip out of things and runners up, means nothing. He's sacked managers when they've won stuff. So if they come runner up and don't finish in the top four, I think it's a huge failure. You're talking about Everton later as well, and Ancelotti and Everton and what they're doing. Chelsea could end up with nothing.
Agreed.
Nothing.
And let's have a look very quickly at what he's done. He's picked the wrong keeper for this game, so he hasn't sorted his keepers out. Up front, they're very wasteful. He's discarded Tammy Abraham, wasn't even on the bench, so he's not getting that right. Midfield, I mean, Yuri Tielemans ran midfield on Saturday, and that tells you how bad Chelsea's midfield is. We talk about Kante when he's brilliant. We just completely ignore it when he's anonymous. Why we do that, I don't know. It's like Emma Hayes. You're not allowed to criticise N'Golo Kante. Well, I thought he was anonymous on Saturday. And in defence, Thiago Silva's been lauded as this big hero. And he's laughing and joking with Arsenal players after the defeat, swapping shirts with Arsenal players after the defeat the other night, a crucial defeat. And then he's turning his back on the winning goal on Saturday. Well, that's not John Terry right there, is it? So why are we lauding Thiago? Why are Chelsea fans lauding Thiago Silva? You should be asking more of these players. There's a lot wrong with Chelsea, and Tuchel hasn't corrected it. Let's get your thoughts on Chelsea's men's team and the women's team as well. Bad weekend all round. If you don't like Chelsea, you're going to love the first 2 hours of this show.